The voice in the well. You ever have one of those nights where the world feels off? Like the air's a little too still, the shadows a little too thick? That was me last summer, back in Derry, Maine, house-sitting my aunt's old farmhouse while she was off in Florida. It's one of those creaky New England homes that looks like it's remembering something it shouldn't. The kind of place that exhales when the wind blows just right, like it's tired of keeping secrets. I was an ordinary guy, grocery clerk, paid my bills, kept to myself. My biggest fear? Being alone too long. Funny how the universe hears that kind of thing. Anyway, that first night I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m. I heard this sound, faint like a voice echoing up from the backyard. It wasn't the kind of sound you mistake for wind. It had shape. Words that brushed the edge of understanding like a dream you try to remember. It was coming from the old stone well behind the house. The one Aunt May told me never to go near, said it was sealed for a reason. Things down there don't stay buried, she used to mutter, half joking, half not. And that's when I made my first mistake. I grabbed a flashlight and went outside. The grass was slick with dew, cold on my bare feet. The moonlight carved the yard into silver and shadow, and the well sat at the edge of it all, a dark mouth in the earth. I remember thinking it looked hungry. I leaned over the lip, the beam of my flashlight trembling down into black water that didn't ripple, didn't move. And then, just as I whispered hello, it whispered back. The closer I got, the colder the air felt, like I was walking into a refrigerator. The crickets had gone silent. Even the trees seemed to be holding their breath. I shined my light down into the well, nothing but darkness. But then it spoke. "Help me," it whispered. It was my voice. I dropped the flashlight. It hit the stones and flickered out, leaving me in a cold, moonlit silence. My pulse pounded in my ears, loud as thunder. I told myself it had to be an echo, a trick of acoustics. But the way it said "help me," slow and deliberate, it didn't sound like something bouncing off stone. It sounded alive. I whispered, "Who's there?" The answer came fast, too fast. "You know who I am." And I did. Somewhere deep down, beneath the panic and disbelief, I knew. It wasn't someone else calling from below. It was something using me. Every question I asked, it replied. Sometimes before I even finished asking. It knew things no one else could know. The lie I told my boss about the missing money from the till, the name of the girl I loved and lost in high school, the night I stood on my balcony thinking about ending it all. Each word it spoke felt like a hook sinking deeper into my chest. I tried to walk away, but I swear the ground pulsed under my feet like the earth itself was breathing, or maybe trying to pull me back. And then, louder, urgent this time. "Come closer. Let me show you what's down here." I froze. The air smelled like wet iron and decay. My hand trembled as I reached for the flashlight, its beam weak now, flickering like a dying eye. Something in the water moved. Just a ripple at first, then a shape. Pale, human-shaped. I took a step back, but my heel caught a root, and I almost went over. That's when the voice spoke again, soft as silk and twice as sharp. "You can't leave. You already looked too long." And from the black water below, a hand broke the surface, white, dripping, and reaching straight for the light. I aimed my phone flashlight down the well, and for the first time I saw water glinting at the bottom. My reflection was staring back. Only it wasn't me. The face looked older, pale, twisted with something hungry. Its eyes were sunken pits that shimmered like oil. It stared straight up, mimicking every breath I took, until it didn't. Then, right there in the water, my reflection smiled. The corners of its mouth stretched too wide, splitting into a grin that didn't belong on any human face. I stumbled backward, the phone shaking in my hand. The smile widened, and a voice, my voice from the well, whispered, "Don't run. We're almost together." Before I could blink, a hand shot up from the darkness, pale and slick, grabbing my wrist. The cold bit so deep it burned. It was strong, impossibly strong, dragging me toward the mouth of the well, inch by inch. I screamed, kicked at the stones, clawed at the ground. My phone flew from my hand, skittering across the dirt. The light spun wild, and for a second, I saw the face again below, close enough that I could see its lips moving, forming words I couldn't hear. Then the old rope bucket hanging beside the well snapped loose. It fell like a hammer from heaven and smashed against my shoulder. The shock ripped me free of that icy grip. I hit the ground hard, rolled onto my back, coughing, trembling. When I looked again, the water was calm, still, like nothing had ever happened. I crawled backward, heart pounding, my shoulder throbbing. Every instinct screamed to run inside, lock the doors, forget the sound, forget the face. But the phone light still glowed faintly near the well's edge, its beam falling into the dark water. And there, in that weak glow, the reflection was still there. But now it wasn't mirroring me. It was standing behind me. I turned, slow as a dream you can't wake from, and the air around me went hollow, soundless. Just before everything went black, I heard it whisper, not from below this time, but right beside my ear. I told you not to look. Filled that well the next morning. Took every brick, every stone, every ounce of strength I had. My shoulder ached, my palms were torn open, but I didn't stop, not until the last trace of black water was gone, smothered beneath a mound of earth. The sun rose slow over the trees, bleeding through the mist, and for a moment I almost believed I'd beaten it, that I'd buried the thing that wore my face. But as I shoveled the final layer of dirt, I heard it. Soft, patient, whispering from beneath the earth. You can't bury what's already inside you. I froze, the handle of the shovel slick with sweat. The voice wasn't coming from the ground this time. It was inside my head, curling up in the dark corners of my thoughts like it had always been there, waiting. That line's been echoing ever since. I left Derry the same day. Didn't bother cleaning up. Didn't tell my aunt what happened. Just packed my bags, locked the door behind me, and drove until the farmhouse was a memory in the rearview mirror. Back in the city, things were supposed to go back to normal. New job at the supermarket, new apartment with no backyard, no trees, no wells. But sometimes, late at night, I hear water dripping somewhere it shouldn't be. It comes from the sink, or the walls, or under the bed. Always the same rhythm. Slow, deliberate, like the heartbeat of something waiting. I've started avoiding mirrors. When I do catch my reflection by accident, I swear the eyes looking back don't blink when I do. They just watch. Aunt May called last week. She's back in Maine. Said she wants me to come by, help fix up the house before winter. I told her I couldn't, that I was busy. She laughed and said, "That's all right. The well's uncovered again. I can handle it." I dropped the phone because the dirt I packed down myself, the dirt I knew I packed, shouldn't have moved. And when I dream now, I hear the whisper again. Not beneath the earth this time, but behind the glass, murmuring, "Come home." A week ago, my neighbor knocked on my door. Sweet old woman, lived across the hall. Said the pipes under her floor were making strange noises, gurgling, dripping, like something trapped inside. I almost told her no, almost shut the door and pretended I didn't hear her. But there was this pull, the same kind that drew me out to the well that first night. Curiosity dressed in fear. So I followed her down to the basement. The air was thick, heavy with that smell, damp metal and earth. The hum of the building faded until all I could hear was that faint, rhythmic drip. I shone my flashlight under the pipes. At first it was just water, shimmering in the beam. But then the dripping stopped. The silence after was sharp enough to hurt. Then I heard it, that same voice, soft, familiar, calling my name. Only this time it didn't echo from a well. It came from inside the wall, whispering through the plaster like the pipes were veins carrying its words. "Let me out," it said. "We were never apart." I stepped back, breath hitching, my flashlight trembling. My neighbor asked what was wrong, but I couldn't answer. Because the wall was bulging, faintly like something was pressing from the other side. And just before I ran, I saw it, a wet handprint blooming through the concrete. Now I hear it everywhere. In the hiss of the shower, the rattle of radiators, the quiet between heartbeats. It doesn't matter how far I go, it's in me now. Because that's what it meant back at the well when it said I couldn't bury what's already inside. So tell me, if you heard your own voice calling from the dark, would you answer? Beat. Fade to black. The sound of dripping water echoes, slow and steady. If this story sent a chill down your spine, do me a favor. Hit like to help this video reach more people who love a good scare. Subscribe for daily stories just like this and share it with someone who thinks they're brave enough to listen alone. Thanks for watching and for letting me whisper in your ear tonight. There's another video waiting for you right on your screen. Click it if you dare. I'll see you back tomorrow. the caretaker of room 313. You ever notice how some buildings seem alive? Like they breathe, whisper, even remember? Yeah, that's what I thought too, until I took the job at the Crescent Hotel. I wasn't anyone special, just an ordinary guy named Eddie Crane, divorced, mid-40s, living paycheck to paycheck. I took the night caretaker job because it came with a room 313. That was the catch. Nobody else wanted it. The manager, a pale woman with eyes like polished glass, handed me the keys and said, "Don't worry about the noise. It's just the pipes." The pipes, right. The Crescent Hotel sat on the edge of a dying Maine town, the kind where the grocery store closes at 6 and the only light after dark comes from the bar sign flickering open even when it's not. That first night, I unpacked, cracked a beer, and told myself it was just another job. But around midnight, the floor above me creaked. Except, there was no floor above room 313. I remember standing there, barefoot, staring at the ceiling. The sound was steady, like footsteps pacing. Then, a slow dragging noise, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. I tried laughing it off, said aloud to no one, "Old pipes, huh?" But my voice came out hollow. When I lay back down, I noticed something else. The air in the room felt thick, like it was trying to push me out. There was this faint hum, a whisper too low to make out. I pressed my ear to the wall and someone whispered my name. I didn't sleep much that night. By morning, the sunlight looked strange, like it didn't want to come in. And when I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror, I swear, for a second, the man looking back wasn't me. I told myself I'd read too many ghost stories, that maybe this town's rot was just seeping into me. But the journal, God, that journal felt alive. The last page was smeared with something brown and crusted, and the final line said, "If you hear him knocking, don't answer." That night, around 2 a.m., I heard it. 3 soft raps on the inside of the wall behind my bed. Not from the hallway, from inside the wall. I froze. My breath fogged the air, even though the radiator was rattling heat. Then came the humming again, low, tuneless, like someone trying to remember a melody they'd forgotten. I shoved the dresser against the wall, sat in the corner with my flashlight, shaking. The beam caught something scratched into the wallpaper. Let him rest. The next morning, the manager, Mrs. Glass, she called herself, stopped me in the lobby. "You look tired, Mr. Crane," she said. "Room treating you all right?" "Fine," I lied. But her smile didn't move. She just nodded once, slow, like she knew exactly what I wasn't saying. That evening, I tried to take a night off, packed my bag, but when I went to the front doors of the Crescent, they wouldn't open. The locks turned, but the doors stayed shut, like the building was holding its breath. I remember pounding on the glass until my hands ached. The street outside was empty, no sound, no wind, just the flicker of that dying open sign across the road. When I turned back, the hallway lights had dimmed, and standing at the far end was a shadow, tall, motionless, the kind of dark that drinks the light around it. I blinked, and it was gone. Back in 313, I could hear the pipes groaning, water hissing through them like whispers. I sat on the bed, clutching the journal, and for the first time I said aloud, "Who's in there?" The answer came, not from the wall this time, but from the air itself. A voice, calm, almost tender. "You are." And that's when I realized the worst part. The door to 313 had locked itself from the inside. I tried to scream, but the sound got swallowed whole, eaten by the dark. The air was thick as oil, pressing against me, pulling at my skin like it wanted to peel me apart. My flashlight sputtered, flickered once, and died. Then the whispers turned into voices, hundreds of them, all saying the same thing over and over. "Keep him in, keep him in." The preacher drifted closer, his body gliding rather than walking. His clothes were rotted, the collar blackened with mold, but his presence radiated heat, a furnace burning under human skin. His mouth trembled against the wire stitching, blood threading through the metal. "You opened the door," he rasped, though it was more thought than sound. "You broke the seal. Someone has to take my place." I stumbled back, feeling the ground, if you could call it that, ripple beneath my feet. Faces moved beneath it like trapped things under ice. Their mouths opened in silent screams. "No," I said. "No, I'm not staying here." He smiled, a grim, broken smile that split the stitches one by one. "You already are." And then I saw it. The journal, floating in the void beside him, its pages fluttering like wings. The handwriting was mine now. The last entry unfinished, the ink still wet. A shape began forming around me, the black pulling tight, solidifying into walls. Wallpaper, carpet, the radiator's rattle coming back like a heartbeat. Room 313 was rebuilding itself. Around me. I ran for the doorway, but it slammed shut, sealing with a sound like a coffin lid. The preacher's face melted into the wallpaper, his eyes stretching across the walls like stains. The light bulb overhead flared red, then white. I could feel the thing, whatever he trapped, crawling through me, settling in my chest. My breath hitched, short and sharp. The voices quieted, all but one, mine, and it whispered from inside my skull, "You can't leave what you've become." Then everything went still, perfectly still. Outside through the window, I could see the sunrise over the main hills. But it didn't look like morning. It looked like fire. I stopped counting the days. The clocks didn't work anymore. Their hands spun lazy circles like they'd forgotten what time meant. I tore up carpet, ripped open vents, shouted until my throat went raw. But no matter what I did, the walls just shifted back, like the hotel was healing itself. The whispers were quieter now, softer, almost familiar. They said my name, but not like before, not to scare me, more like they were trying to teach me something. Words I didn't understand filled my head, old, brittle syllables that felt like prayers turned inside out. I wrote them down on the wall with a piece of broken tile, just to get them out of me. The plaster started to breathe again. And that's when I realized the truth. Room 313 wasn't haunted. It was hungry. Mrs. Glass came back once, or at least I think she did. I woke up to the sound of the key in the lock. The door creaked open, and her silhouette stood in the frame, perfectly still. "Mr. Crane," she said softly, "it's time." Her voice echoed like it came from far away. She stepped inside, and for a second the hallway behind her was gone, just blackness pulsing. "Did I pass the test?" I asked. She smiled, that same glassy smile. "There are no tests here, only caretakers." Then she pressed the keys into my hand, cold, heavy, ancient, and whispered something that sounded like a blessing or a curse. "Keep him in, Mr. Crane. Always keep him in." And before I could speak, she vanished, just folded out of the air like smoke. After that, the room went still again. Peaceful even. The radiator hissed softly. The hum under the floorboards faded to a steady rhythm, almost like breathing. I sat on the bed, staring at the keys, feeling the weight of them. Somewhere, deep inside the walls, the preacher stirred. I could feel his heartbeat synced with mine. I looked at the door, half expecting someone to knock. And when I heard the faintest tap, tap, tap from behind the wallpaper, I found myself whispering back, gently, almost kindly, "Rest now, I've got it from here." I've stopped fighting the room, stopped questioning the hours or the voices or the way the air hums when the lights go out. Somewhere along the line, Eddie Crane stopped existing. Or maybe he just dissolved into the wallpaper, like everyone else who's worn this job too long. The Crescent Hotel feels different now, quieter, tired, but it's never truly still. Every corner sighs, every pipe groans. The whole place breathes through me. I keep the lights low, polish the banisters, listen for the murmurs behind the walls. That's my work now, keeping it calm, keeping him in. Sometimes when the storm rolls over the main coast, I catch glimpses of the preacher's shadow in the reflection of the windows, tall, thin, watching. He never moves, just waits. Maybe for me to falter, maybe for someone new to take my place, and someone always does. They come through the front door like I did, broke, desperate, thinking it's just another job. They ask about the room. They ask if it's safe. And I smile the way Mrs. Glass once smiled at me. "Don't worry about the noise," I tell them. "It's just the pipes." They never understand the weight of those words, not until the first night. By then, it's too late. The Crescent already knows their name. The truth is, the room doesn't keep people. It keeps memories. It needs a caretaker to tend the ghosts, feed the hum, and close the door behind them. That's all. That's everything. If you ever find yourself driving through a quiet Maine town, and you see an old hotel with no lights on but a vacancy sign still glowing red, keep driving. Because I'll be waiting in the lobby, keys in hand, and I'd hate to see you end up like me. Can you hear it now? That low hum in your walls? Don't worry, it's just the pipes. If you enjoyed The Caretaker of Room 313, don't forget to like this video. It really helps the channel grow, and brings more eerie stories your way. Subscribe for daily tales of the strange and the haunted, and share this story with someone who loves a good chill. Thank you for listening and watching. There's another story waiting for you on your screen right now. I'll see you back here tomorrow, if the pipes stay quiet tonight. The knock beneath the floorboards. You ever buy something that just feels wrong from the start? Like the air around it's been holding its breath too long? That's how it was when I bought the old Miller house. Nothing fancy. One story, peeling paint, front porch that sagged like an old man's smile. I told myself it was a fixer-upper, my fresh start after the divorce. The neighbors smiled a little too politely when I moved in. "Hope you sleep through the nights," one of them said. I laughed, thought it was a joke. But that first night, I heard it. Knock, soft, from beneath the floorboards. I told myself it was pipes or the house settling. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Days passed and I threw myself into repairs, painting, sanding, pretending not to notice that the house listened. When I hammered a nail, I could almost feel it wince. When I turned off the lights, I could swear I heard something moving underfoot, slow, deliberate, like breath under wood. One evening, as twilight leaked through the curtains, I sat with a beer and the sound started again. Knock, pause, knock. 3 slow beats like a message. It came from the same spot, under the living room rug. I stared at that patch of floor until the beer went warm in my hand. Maybe it was an animal, I told myself, a raccoon or a rat nest. But even then, there was rhythm, something intentional. And for the first time, I realized the house wasn't empty. It was waiting for me to listen. The knocks kept coming, same time every night, 2:43 a.m. Always 3 of them, steady, patient. I tried ignoring it, earplugs, music, whiskey. But the sound found me anyway, worming through the silence, humming under my skin. So I recorded it, left my phone on the coffee table, mic pointed toward the floor. When I played it back the next morning, the room filled with a faint hiss, then a whisper, a child's voice, thin as paper. Down here. My stomach turned to stone. It wasn't just the voice, it was how close it sounded. Not like it came from under the floor, but beneath me, inches from my feet. That's when I started tearing up the boards. Dust filled the air, the kind that tastes like time. I pried, hammered, cursed, until the wood gave way with a groan. There it was, a box, small, wooden, nailed shut, stained dark with something that wasn't age. I hesitated for all of 3 seconds. Curiosity has a way of feeling righteous right before it ruins you. Inside, a single child's shoe, scuffed and tiny. A photograph, edges singed, faces blurred by fire and years. And a note in careful, spidery letters. Don't listen to the knocking. That should have been my cue. Close it, seal it, move out. But I couldn't because now the knocking had a pattern. It followed me. To the kitchen, the bedroom, even the shower. Sometimes it wasn't beneath the floor. Sometimes it was inside the walls. I started seeing things in the corner of my eye. A flicker, like someone ducking out of sight. My reflection lagged a second too long in the bathroom mirror. Sleep stopped coming. Food tasted like cardboard. Every sound in that house, the creak of a beam, the groan of the pipes, felt like a voice trying to form words. And through it all, that whisper, clearer every night, down here. I told myself I was losing my mind. But when I pressed my ear to the open floor that night, I heard something that made me believe otherwise. Something breathing back. The next night, I waited. No lights, no sound, just me, the dark, and the floor beneath my feet. I sat cross-legged on the splintered boards, flashlight off, heart ticking louder than the old grandfather clock down the hall. The air felt thick, heavy, like the house was crouched over me, listening. At 2:43 a.m., right on cue, it came. Knock, pause, knock, knock. Only this time I didn't flinch. I raised my hand, and I knocked back. 3 times. The silence afterward was alive. Then thud, it came from behind me. Not the floor, the wall. I turned slowly, every hair on my neck standing at attention. Another thud, harder. Plaster cracked in a thin white vein across the wallpaper. And through that split, the voice came, no longer a whisper. Clear, cold, right in my ear. Let me out. The flashlight trembled in my hand as I aimed it at the wall. The crack widened, boards bending inward, like something was pushing from the other side. A draft blew through, cold as a grave. Then, a hand. Small, pale, fingers like chalk, nails rimmed with black dirt. It groped the air, searching. When it touched the floor, the boards beneath me sighed, like they were exhaling after years of holding something in. I wanted to run. God, I wanted to run, but I couldn't, because behind that hand came the rest of it. A child's face, waxy and colorless, eyes too wide, too knowing, the mouth open, trembling, trying to speak. And that's when I saw the photo again, the burned one. The faint outline of a boy standing next to the old Miller house. The same boy. He looked right at me. "You shouldn't have listened," he said. The floorboards split down the middle, and the sound that came up wasn't just knocking anymore. It was screaming. The house roared like it was alive, like it had lungs, dragging the air from my throat. I tried to stand, but the boards gave way, splintering beneath my feet, and then I was falling, down, into the dark that had been waiting all along. Everything looked too normal. The wall, smooth, white, whole again. No crack, no hole, no sign that a child's hand had ever reached through the plaster. Just the faint scent of damp wood and old dust, the kind that clings to your skin long after you've left the room. I stumbled into the kitchen, barefoot, lightheaded, and there it was, the photo, the one I'd left inside the box. It sat in the middle of the table, edges curling like it had been scorched again during the night. Only now, there was something new about it. The burned outline of the boy wasn't blurred anymore. He was clear, sharp, eyes staring right into the lens, and behind him, me, standing in the window of the Miller house. The neighbors stopped by later, offering muffins, gossip, polite curiosity. Said the place looked different, brighter, one of them remarked, like it finally got some air. I smiled, lied through my teeth, told them I just finished some late-night repairs. They laughed, none the wiser, though one woman paused on the porch. She tilted her head, listening. "You hear that?" she asked. I froze, but she just shrugged it off. Must be the wind. When they left, I sat alone at the table, staring at the photo, trying to convince myself it was over. That what I'd seen, what I'd touched, was just exhaustion, grief, madness. But as dusk fell, the quiet in the house felt too still, like the calm that comes after someone stops screaming. I pressed my hand against the floorboards, warm, alive. And from deep below, so faint it could have been a trick of memory, came the sound I'd been waiting for. Not a knock this time, just a single, drawn-out breath. In, out. The house was exhaling. I whispered to no one, "It's okay, you're free now." But when I lifted my hand, I saw fingerprints pressed into the wood, smaller than mine, fresh. And then for just a moment, I could have sworn I heard a voice behind me say, "Your turn." I sold the house a month later. Didn't mention the box, the whispering, or the small hand that broke through the wall. Didn't tell them about the nights that stretched on like open wounds. I just handed over the keys, smiled like a man who'd finally found peace, and wished them luck. For the first time in weeks, I slept somewhere that didn't breathe. A clean apartment, bare walls, no history, no ghosts, I thought, just quiet. But quiet is dangerous. Quiet gives space for memory, and memory, it likes to crawl. Still, I started to feel normal again. Coffee in the mornings, work during the day, a life that didn't hum beneath the floorboards until last night, 2:43 a.m. That number again, carved into my nerves. I woke without knowing why, the way a deer freezes before it hears the gunshot. The moonlight stretched across the floor like a blade. I listened. For a moment, there was only the buzz of the refrigerator, the faint tick of the clock. Then, knock, 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 soft, steady, from beneath the bed. My throat went dry. It wasn't the sound that terrified me. It was the recognition, that same rhythm, that same patient waiting. I whispered no, because I knew what it wanted, not to scare me, to be heard. The air under the bed shifted, warm and damp like breath. And from the darkness, I heard it again, the voice I'll never forget, a child's whisper, almost kind, "Your turn." Now I don't sleep much. I keep the lights on, my feet off the floor, but the knocking still comes, sometimes from the floor, sometimes from the walls, and lately, from inside the closet door. Maybe the Miller house didn't want to keep me. Maybe it just wanted to follow. And if you're listening to this now, if you hear 3 soft knocks tonight, whatever you do, don't knock back. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to the knock beneath the floorboards. If you enjoyed the story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow and keep stories like this alive. Make sure to subscribe for daily chills and eerie tales, and share this video with someone who loves a good scare. There's another video waiting for you right on your screen. Go give it a listen. And I'll see you tomorrow night.